What if the best kind of financial aid wasn't from the government at all? Today, we're going to look at a model that completely challenges how we think about paying for education. And it all starts by questioning something we've just kind of always accepted as true. Okay, so when you hear the term financial aid, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most people, right, it's FAFSA, student loans, Pell Grants. But what if that's just a tiny piece of a much bigger picture? All right, so this really gets to the heart of it. We've basically been trained to think that financial aid and federal aid are the same thing. See that section on the left, the one about the common misunderstanding? Yeah, that's the idea we're here to pull apart today. So let's just reset for a second. What is financial aid, really? Well, it's any assistance that helps you pay for your education. That's it. Federal funding is just one option on the menu, you know? It's not the entire meal. And that distinction, well, it changes everything. Okay, so how did we get to this point? In this first section, let's dig into why this whole financial aid equals federal aid idea got so stuck in our heads, and, more importantly, why it's all starting to unravel. I mean, for decades, the entire system was built around this one association. It shaped what students expected, it shaped how schools operated, everything. But now, the ground underneath that system is starting to shift, and it's all because of some big changes in national education policy. And those policy changes are putting the old way of doing things right under the microscope. Which brings us to the real problem here. The traditional federal aid model is facing some serious heat, especially when it comes to career and vocational schools. So check this out. The federal government is getting a lot tougher. Starting in late 2025, there are new rules and warnings coming into play. They're looking really closely at things like a student's return on investment, and how much debt they're left with. So what does this all mean? Well, the bottom line is pretty simple. Schools can't just take federal cash anymore without proving they actually deliver good outcomes for students. The government is literally flagging programs where graduates end up with way too much debt for the income they're making. The whole system is getting a serious rethink. So all this pressure on the old system, it kind of creates a vacuum, right? An opening for something new. And that brings us to a totally different model. One that's specifically designed to operate outside of all those federal rules and the risks that come with them. And this quote right here from the Louisville Beauty Academy, it just nails the philosophy behind it. They say this isn't a limitation, it's a deliberate safeguard. In other words, opting out of federal aid isn't because they can't get it, it's a strategic move to protect themselves and, more importantly, to protect their students. Okay, so there's a technical term for this, and it's a non-Title IV-I institution. Sounds complicated, but it's not. All it means is that it's a fully accredited or state-licensed school that just chooses not to participate in federal aid programs like FAFSA and Pell Grants. And this comparison chart just lays it all out crystal clear. On the left, you've got the standard federal model we all know, but on the right, that's the alternative. No FAFSA, no federal loans, and here's the kicker, no federal debt risk for the student. It basically builds a wall between them and all those shaky policy changes we were just talking about. All right, so if there are no federal loans, how on earth do students get financial aid? That's the big question, right? So let's break down what aid actually looks like in a system like this. Well, it starts with this, a massive upfront discount from the school itself. And we're not talking about a little bit here. We're talking about a 50 to 75% cut in the total tuition. Just poof, gone, right off the top. And that is the whole point. Knocking thousands of dollars off the sticker price is financial aid. It's just a different kind. It's the kind that doesn't saddle you with federal debt that follows you around for years and years. So the process itself is super simple. Step 1, you get that huge discount. Step 2, for the small amount that's left, you work out a flexible payment plan directly with the school. And get this, it's 0 interest, so you know exactly what you owe from the very first day. No surprises. And this whole model is built on a philosophy of what the source calls over-compliance. Basically, it means they put everything in writing, crystal clear before you ever enroll. It's all about total transparency and consumer protection, which is especially important for students who might be new to the U.S. education system, like ESL students or New Americans. Okay, so what does all of this mean for the bigger picture, for the future of career education? Well, the argument here is that this isn't just some quirky alternative. It might actually be the new gold standard. So what makes it future ready?
It's a complete flip in priorities. It's about prioritizing outcomes over just getting enrollments. It's about real world value instead of government subsidies. And it's about making sure students get a professional license, not just a mountain of debt.
And really, this is what it's all about. The goal isn't just a piece of paper. It's a straight line from the classroom to a career. You get licensed, you get the skills, and you get to work, maybe even open your own business someday, without that giant anchor of debt holding you back. At the end of the day, this model really proves that another path is possible. It shows that you can have high-quality, fully licensed education that doesn't depend on the federal aid system. It lets students build a career, not just a portfolio of debt. So that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. As we all start demanding more value, more transparency from education, could this be it? Is a debt-conscious, outcome-focused model the real future of how we train for the workforce?